Hey everybody! So something that I have been working on with Maya is starting to get her better about moving laterally. So I want to have control over the shoulders, the hips, the head, all 4 feet, you name it. So it's really helpful to use this exercise of moving a horse down a fence line. The fence kind of helps support your horse staying in a straight line. It helps you give the horse less opportunity to pick the wrong answer. I guess you could call it cheating, but it at least tells the horse that forward is not the right answer. So the only tools that I actually have a dressage whip instead of a flag or a lunge whip because it's too long. I'm not actually trying to desensitize the horse or really push the horse off of pressure. I just want her to feel the very end of this dressage whip and move her body accordingly. At first, it's not going to look pretty. I just want her to move left or right, her entire body moving laterally. So yeah, let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to walk her up to the fence line. Come on, girl. And it doesn't matter if you go left or right, whatever you want to do. Okay. It's really important safety-wise that you have a pretty short lead rope, because what I don't want the horse to do is to look away from me and be able to turn away and run down the fence, okay? I don't want her to be able to get her hip to me. Also, if you're riding a horse and you're moving them laterally, you're going to want to tip that inside nose, if you will, opposite of the direction you're trying to go. So I'm kind of setting her up for that as well on the ground. Okay, so all I'm going to do, I'm simply going to brush her shoulder. There we go. One step. Okay. Now you might say, okay, well, why are you pushing the shoulder? Because she wants to square up to me. There we go. I'm going to push her body sideways. See how she's wanting to go forward, backwards, but not there. There. So see how I keep catching her nose as well? So to go the other direction, I'm not going to move around her. I'm going to ask her to move around me. Push her neck around. Say, come back over here. And then I'm just going to push the body away. There we go. Push the shoulder. There we go. Perfect. Much better. Much better. Good. And then we got to lick and chew. Okay. There we go. So like I said, it's not going to look pretty at first. She's not going to be beautifully crossing her front and hind legs at the same time, or even be super soft about it. But you can see me kind of correct her nose. If she tries to turn her nose away from me or go past the fence, I touch the part of the body that's not in the correct place with my dressage whip or just with a tiny bump on the lead rope. Okay, so let's send her back the other way. That side is a little bit harder. Again, I'm pushing the horse around me. I'm not going around the horse. Okay, we're here. I'm going to ask her to move her. So see, her neck went the wrong way. I touch her neck. Her neck, her neck, her neck. Then her shoulder. Her neck is still wrong. There. There. So don't get hung up on, oh, I just touched the horse's shoulder. If she's pushing on the fence or she's pushing into me, I'm going to push the part of the body away that is in the wrong spot. So the head, the neck, the shoulder, whatever front part of the body is not moving laterally. Okay, so let's try that again. Shoulder. There we go. Good. Now that time I didn't touch her at all with the handy stick. Now let's say you have a horse who moves their shoulders really well, but not their hind end. Well, then I would just do the opposite. I would instead be touching the flank, the hindquarters, whatever part of that horse's body is stuck or isn't moving as fluidly as I would like. So let's go back around. Again, this is going to take less and less pressure every time. And the goal is that not only do I have a more respectful, quiet horse on the ground that moves out of my space, there, fluid, there. See how now I'm moving more towards the center of her body and we're getting that beautiful movement. Not perfect, but much better. The goal here is that I can do this away from a fence line and my horse is going to stay soft in the body. They're not going to run off. They're not going to spin around. Like, they have a clear understanding of what part of the body I'm telling to move. Then under saddle, it gets easier because this horse is already used to me putting pressure on the side of her body, on her shoulders and her hindquarters. I'm specific about what part of the body I need to move. So yeah, that's just a little exercise you can use going down the fence. You don't need a ton of equipment. You just need good timing and a little bit of patience. And this is something that's really going to enhance your horse on the ground and your horsemanship under saddle as well. Another exercise that I want to show you for improving your horse under saddle that you can do on the ground is getting them to soften their poll, getting them to drop their head a little bit. So it's a huge pet peeve of mine when I try to catch a horse or bridle a horse, or in the case for a lot of horses here, especially Maya, putting a muzzle on. They bring their head up way above their withers. It annoys me not only because I'm only 5'4", but it's clearly an avoidance tactic. Like they're trying to avoid you handling their face, putting something on their face. And I want the horse to learn how to be more relaxed and how to respond to pressure really easily. I'm not going to go into like all of the pain reasons a horse might be doing that. We're just going to stick to the simplicity of training a horse to soften their head and neck, okay, or to soften the poll. So I do this fairly simple. Some people like to put downward pressure on the lead rope. Some people like to do this with a bridle. I like to just do it with the tools I'm going to have on me in the pasture, which is my 2 hands. So what I do is I put a couple of fingers on one side of her nose and my thumb on the other. And then I put my thumb on one side of her poll and my other 4 fingers on the other side. And I'm just going to massage. And you see how quickly she dropped her head. I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to put a little bit of massage there. And then we get another drop. And I'm going to do it one more time. There. Okay. Now, I don't require that the horse keeps her head at that level. I just want her to respond when she feels pressure in those 2 points. Drop your head. Okay. And I can do this without a halter. I'm leaving it on her just so she stays in the frame. But this is something you should definitely practice out in the pasture for when you're trying to halter your horse. So again, a little distracted. I'll come back around. Okay, I'm going to ask very gently for her to drop. There. Okay, now those first 2 times you saw her do a teeny tiny little bob, I wasn't going to reward that simply because I know she can give me more than that already. So I asked her to make a very obvious drop of her head before I let go. But again, I'm not pulling or really pushing on anything. I'm just simply massaging. So we'll do that one more time. There we go. We'll do it again. There we go. Okay. Now, if we take the halter off, just for example purposes, okay, I'm going to do this again. There. Good. And this horse, when she came here, she did not like you touching her ears. She did not like you putting your hands on her poll. Okay, there we go. And she's just gotten really, really good about it. So again, that's just a short and sweet exercise you can do. You go out in the pasture and do that every day, or every time you feed, or every time your horse is getting their feet done, you work on stuff like this that's a static movement. You start to realize then this point where I'm putting my hand is where the halter puts pressure on. So when you pick up on a halter, or you pick up on a hackamore or a bosel, you have already started instilling in that horse to soften in that area, just like that, when they feel pressure. So yeah, this horse is so great to work with. She's such a great little student because as soon as she figures out where the release is, she finds it and she searches for it. So yeah, try that with your horses. I don't care if they're only 14-1. They need to put their heads down when you're putting equipment on.